evening. Welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm sitting down with Meg and Edge again. And since Canada apparently got their postal service together,
Yep. Right before the holidays.
Right on time. We're going to be looking at this. But it's been a little bit since you came set with me.
Mm-hmm.
What's been going on?
Well, let's see. We got through the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Got through the holidays. Pretty good, actually. Pretty good. We had a good time. Good lot of relaxation, a lot of fun, good food.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're into 2025, and I'm really enjoying the energy of 2025 so far. It feels like a very different energy than the last few years.
It is. It's definitely a different energy, and we're seeing it in everything from the weather to the way companies are behaving to the mail service and everything else.
Even some politicians are changing their behavior.
That's interesting to say the least, I'll say.
And also some corporate CEOs like Mark Zuckerberg. What did he just recently come out and proclaim?
Oh, I'm not for sure. Maybe AI is bad?
Well, he's grown his hair, so he looks a little less, lizard-like. And he's made a proclamation that Facebook will no longer engage in fact-checking and censorship because all of that was foisted upon him by the Biden administration.
Interesting.
Yeah. And having been censored heavily on Facebook over the last 5 years, I'm curious to see what that's going to look like. Although it'll be different in Canada because up here, our esteemed Prime Minister created a scenario where we in Canada are not allowed to share anything on Facebook that comes from a news source.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we can share cat videos and pictures of our children and what we had for lunch. But we cannot share anything of interest that comes from a news source, from anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, he was cute when he took office. Now he's becoming a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we call him Sparkle Socks, not very affectionately, but he does have those ridiculous socks that he likes to show off every day.
Yeah.
He's done some really, in my opinion, he's done some really horrific things to his citizens, the people of Canada. He was incredibly divisive over the last 3 years. But apparently he's stepping down. He's made the announcement that he's...
Now, what happens there?
Yeah, it's a little different than in the U.S. First of all, he's been in power. His party's been in power for 9 years.
Right.
We don't have the every 4 years you have to go back and do an election necessarily. It gets called differently here. So he has made the declaration that he's going to resign. He's then shut down Parliament, essentially, until March 24th. And that's his prerogative. And it allows him and his party to perhaps stop their squabbling and figure themselves out, and for a new candidate to step forward to be declared the leader of the Liberal Party, who will then be, for the time being, he or she will be the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of Canada until an election is called. It has to be called after a Prime Minister resigns in either May or September.
Okay. Yeah, because it takes a bit to get that together.
Yeah.
I think that you would want to do it in May because September looks to be a nightmare for your northern northern areas.
When you say nightmare, that sounds very dramatic.
Well, trying to get them to a poll or get mail up there when half of them don't get mail 9 months out of the year.
That's true, and they all live in igloos.
No, they don't live in igloos. They live in some really awesome off-grid cabins.
So the majority of Canadians live right next to the Canadian-U.S. border. And it really doesn't usually start to snow until October, November. It's not until you get far north, and those are much smaller communities. So I think September would still be okay.
Okay.
Getting to the polls. Yeah.
Okay, so they don't mail it like Australia. You have to go to the poll.
You can go to the polls in person. You can go to advanced polls in person, or you can mail it in.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. What we're talking about tonight is the heart's healing journey.
I'm so glad that arrived today. That's just such wonderful synchronicity.
I know. Now, I'm going to clarify so everyone understands. One, she's getting an honest review. You're going to see paper quality checks and all that.
Good.
I've not opened this. I had my assistant open it and remove all the mailing stuff, like if there was bubble wrap or whatever. And 3, she's going to talk us through this because this is a different style deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on other news, other than, Canadian Prime Minister Cutie Pie retiring, I just wonder what scandal got him out of office. Or that isn't behavioral there.
So many things.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, does the new one have to go to England still? Like, the crown is very questionable at times.
We are still part of
Commonwealth.
the Commonwealth. So although Prince Chuckles himself, or King Chuckles himself, doesn't have jurisdiction over Canada, there are still protocols that have to be adhered to.
Right.
So, right. Whoever is takes the place will have to be introduced to the King of England himself.
Good.
Yeah.
And I will say this as I tell my UK co-host, can you please come get your vagabonds out of California? They fell down here somehow.
Yeah.
So let's hop in here. This is the Healing's Journey. You get this lovely case that is good quality chipboard, not a metal tin, not some piece of paper that's going to fall apart. And when you open it up, we have a book. This is a journal. Okay. And then this is the journal. This is the Healing Hearts Oracle cards and guidebook. Then we have a bookmark because we're going to do some studying. We have a pen that actually looks like a good one.
It is. It's a good quality pen.
Yeah, those are important and hard to find. And then you have a deck.
Yep, 42 Healing Hearts cards.
And then you have an insert that holds everything together so it doesn't get lost and the cat doesn't carry it off and all that fun stuff.
It does keep it all together in its proper place.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So how did you come up with these? Like, where are we at with this? What's the story?
Well, let's see. About 20 years ago now.
Right.
It was coming to my attention that my marriage of 23 years was not quite what I thought it was. Nor was it going in a direction that I was comfortable with it going into. And so over the course of a number of years, the blinders that I'd had like this on my eyes, where I convinced myself that everything was fine and everything was great and I just needed to try harder and everything would be okay.
And all the BS we get fed.
Or that we feed ourselves, started to fall away, and I started to question a lot of what I had accepted and what I had assumed in the relationship. And then add to that a car accident, which is often not necessarily a car accident, but some kind of a wake-up call often precedes the realization that life has to change, or else you're going to just be stuck in it forever and probably suffocate. So as I was coming to these understandings that things were not going as well as I had thought they would, as they were, and that there was a deep unhappiness there, I said to the universe, just show me a sign, show me a symbol, just give me something that when I see it, I will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I am following my heart above all other voices and that I'm in as much integrity as I can possibly be as I try to figure out what's going on in my life.
Right.
And the universe has a terrific sense of humor, and it started showing me heart shapes in nature. And why that's significant is because I am a nature child. I grew up in a foraging family. I love being out in the forest and the woods. I know all kinds of things about it. And the best place for the universe to show me the sign I needed to see was going to be in nature. And I started seeing heart rocks, and I started seeing clouds that were shaped like hearts. And as you'll see when you start playing with the deck, every photograph is a different heart that I came across over these few years as I was trying to understand what was happening. And each time I saw one of those hearts, I took a photograph of it with my phone camera.
How cool.
so that I had a record of it, just for me, so that when things got
Right.
really, really hard and really painful, I could
Mm-hmm.
go back to that folder and I could just look at those hearts and remind myself that it was going to be okay somehow, even if I didn't know how
Right.
it was going to be. It was going to be okay, and all I had to do was just stay the course and be true to myself and look after the people around me that needed looking after. So,
Right.
fast forward to, I've now set up my new home. My daughters are with me. They're going back and forth to see their dad, and they're with me. And I'm taking my business, my healing practice, and my psychic work that had been a
Mm-hmm.
part-time thing, and it was
Right.
now going to have to be a full-time gig.
And that's a change of pace.
To pay the rent. Yes, it's a big change of pace. And I had not been on Facebook. I did not have a Facebook account. When you read my story, which is one of the things that makes this box set unique, is that as the author, I share this story, this painful story of coming in out of this marriage and all the things I needed to do to be in integrity with that. I wasn't on Facebook. My former husband was the husband.
Mm-hmm.
He was on Facebook, and you get to read about why that was significant at the time.
Right.
So I get out of the marriage. I'm in my own home. I'm trying to get my business up and running, and somebody says to me, "You have to get on Facebook.
Right.
Let people know where you are and who you are and what you're doing." So I set up a Facebook account, and I think, what am I going to put on Facebook? I don't really have any kitten videos, and I don't want to put my children's pictures on Facebook. So
Right.
somebody said, "Well, what about all those heart pictures you have?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess if they were helpful to me, maybe they'll be helpful to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And the response was overwhelming. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would put up a picture and I would get inundated with messages. Oh my gosh, I needed that heart in that moment. And I find hearts too. And now I'm looking for hearts. And this whole heart community started to show up around these hearts. Now, as a healing tool, I could see the potential of these images of hearts and just how important they are. Never mind Valentine's Day. The history of hearts as a loving image, as a healing image, has been around for forever, ever since we started painting on, cave walls. And also, I was working with oracle cards with my clients. As a psychic healer, oracle cards and tarot cards were a part of my toolkit.
Right.
And so it occurred to me that I could make a deck of oracle cards.
Right.
And then I talked myself out of it about a half a dozen times.
Right.
And finally decided, no, actually, I can do this. So I started to shift through all my photos, pick out the ones that wanted to be in the deck. And by that, I mean, intuitively, one photo would say, yep, me. And the other photo would say, nope, not me. It was the process that I went through. And I started to create these cards. Now, I wanted there to be meaningful messages on the back of the cards.
Right.
Because each heart has its own story about what I was going through or what I was thinking or what was happening when I came across that heart.
Right.
But I was having a hard time with that because my critical mind kept getting in the way. I didn't want it to sound too flowery and I didn't want it to sound too uninteresting. I really wanted it to be authentic. And I had recently, like 2 weeks before, gone in to have my tonsils removed at the age of 42. And when an adult gets their tonsils out, it's a major surgery. It's a big deal.
Right.
And the fellow who's doing the surgery, he said, "Look, I wouldn't wish this surgery on my worst enemy. Are you sure you want to do this? Because I actually kind of like you. And I don't think I want to do this on you." I said, "No, we really need to do this. I've been sick for too long. We need to get it out." And then I ended up being flown back into the hospital after, I won't get into the details, but basically I almost choked on blood. Right. So during that time, I could not speak. I had no voice because everything had been recauterized. And my husband came in with my laptop and he said, now write the cards, write the messages on the cards. So I had to lose my voice, the voice that I'd worked so hard to refine in leaving that marriage because I'd lost it in the marriage.
Right.
I had to lose it again so that I could just sit and allow the channeling to come through without talking myself out of it. Right. And then from there, it was about writing the story, because having worked with oracle cards for many, many years, 30, 40 years, I've worked with oracle cards. What I've always found to be missing is the personal piece of the author's motivation for creating that deck in the first place, because oracle cards are so personal. They're different than tarot, where tarot is a structure and every card, although it can be very creative and unique, it has to have the same symbol on it that every other nine of clubs is going to have on it.
And the same elemental connections and required elemental base there, and all that has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say there are some decks that are fluffy decks.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that are they're beautiful as on a poster, glued to a coffee table. If they don't have like white rose, the certain symbols that have been put in, they're useless to anyone except an advanced reader.
That's true. That's true. And the difference between the oracle and tarot is, whereas tarot has structure, which can be really useful depending on what the querent is asking about or searching for.
Right.
The oracle cards are more organic.
They are.
They can be anything.
Right.
They can be any number. They can be any image. They can be any message, any shape, any design. The universe is the limit for what you can do with them. And because of that, I feel like it's really important. Like I want to understand who the person is who created this deck. Why did they do it? What was important about it to them? And in my case, my story of coming out of this 23-year marriage to someone who'd been my best friend and 2 little girls, and the agony of that and what that feels like to go through. If I was going to stand in some kind of authority and say, I know what this feels like, and I know what you can do to make it easier, or at least I have some suggestions for you.
Right.
I better be willing to share what I went through and how I did it. So that was actually the most terrifying part of creating the whole box set, because talk about vulnerable. And we worry about judgment. And I'm thinking, well, once I write this story and I put it out into the world, it's not my story any longer. Somebody else's interpretation or experience of that story, it makes it theirs. It becomes their own.
Right.
And they will either understand and get what I was going through and why I made the choices I had to make, or if I felt I had to make, or they won't. But either way, it doesn't matter. It's not about me anymore.
Right. It's now about the user.
It's about the user and what they get from it. And the feedback I've had over the last 10 years since I published this is just been absolutely brilliant. The number of people who've said, men and women who've said, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one.
Right.
Because we go there. We go there when we're going through really difficult things.
Right. And you go through a lot of difficult things. What I find interesting.
Oh. That was my dog.
Okay.
She decided that she didn't want to stay in the room anymore. Sorry about that.
That's fine. No, I was looking at your website and flipped back over, and you were walking, and I was like, come back here. Call the baristas. They'll get you coffee.
No. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. But I find interesting. It's kind of like when I went from, this is my side hustle that I do once in a while. I had a career end in 8 hours.
Yeah.
Permanent end in 8 hours. And Spirit told me, like, you need to work more on the networks. And it's like, I can't. I'm working overtime. I mean, my managers at that time, they would call you on the phone because there was no email.
Right.
I need you on the hotline. I need you to sign in. I'm going to turn on your extension. I'm on the floor. I can't do that right now. Maybe when I get off my 16-hour shift, I'll see if I do that.
Right.
That type of thing. And Spirit's like, you're going to get called back in. You need to you're done being the healer and the nurse. It's time for you to go do the psychic.
Yeah.
I didn't listen. Yes, I'll work overtime. Yep, I'm pulling 120 hours a week, blah, blah, blah. Fine, let's blow your knee out.
Well, this is the wake-up call, right?
Well, that was the alarm.
Okay, yes, the alarm.
Yeah. So I'm off for a week. Come back in a brace. See that one of my patients hadn't had a bath the whole time I had been off.
Oh my gosh.
She had a special lift. No one charged her lift. And she had a doctor's appointment. And I'm like, we're not sending her out this way.
Right.
Let's go. Saddle up. We all know how to do this role. Let's do this role. Yep.
Yeah.
Out of the 4, 2 dropped the load. And it went down on me and another person. And we lowered her back down on the bed. And I hear in the back of my back, snap, crunch, pop, 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 pop.
Right.
And it's like, okay, because I'm like in agony, and I'm like, I just have to get back to my nurse's desk.
Right.
Call my supervisor, and they're like, we've got to get someone there. As soon as we can get someone there, you can go to the hospital. Yeah. And so I went to the ER, and 7 herniated vertebrae later.
Yeah.
They looked at me and said, your nursing career is over.
Right.
And I'm like, can I go into admin? No, your nursing career is over. You can't lift over 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not lifting anything over 10 for at least the next 6 months. It's like, yay, full-time professional psychic. Thanks, Spirit. So I find it interesting. You had a car accident.
Yes.
And then, you know, Spirit says write a deck, and you're like, but I don't wanna.
Pretty much. I did. I said, look, there's thousands of decks out there. Why does anybody need me to write an oracle card deck? Like, who am I? Who am I to write a deck of oracle cards?
Right.
Who am I to put together this box set of healing tools? Who am I?
Right.
And I was standing in a wonderful bookstore that we don't really have here any longer. It changed hands, but at the time it was this huge warren of rooms filled with wonderful old secondhand books, and just tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of titles. And I'm standing in this old building, and I'm smelling the old wood and the old books, and I love that smell. And I'm standing there, and I say again to the universe or to Spirit, look at all these books. Like, how would I even fit in this din? Who am I to write a book?
Right.
And I heard as clear as day, who are you not to? Like, oh, wait a minute. What do you mean? Who am I not to? Well, somebody is waiting to hear and read exactly what you are going to write and share. And they're not going to hear it from anyone else.
Right.
They're going to hear it from you, the way that you write it, the way that you do it. So who are you not to? You are doing a disservice by not putting this into the world. Wow. Okay, then. That's what I'm doing now.
Yay. Did someone remember to check the terms and conditions when we came down? No, we did not.
And just because I said yes, of course, it's not necessarily going to be easy, just because you say yes to something that you know you want to do. I mean, every one of us has this passion inside of us. We can feel it in our solar plexus. We know there's this thing that we desperately want to do, that we could be really good at if we just did it. But the doing of it is going to take work. Just when you say yes, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but you can bring ease into the process. You can continue to ask for guidance and ask for help. And, please bring somebody to cross my path who knows how to do this, because I don't know how to do this. And that's what started happening. It's those synchronicities that when we say yes to something that Spirit wants us to do, that our soul is saying, this is what you came here for. Remember, you wrote this into your story.
I get tired of hearing that. It's in your contract. It's in your
I prefer a story. I prefer it's in my story, because what I believe is that we each write our story before we come into each lifetime, right? And we do it with a whole team and lots of different players. And we say, this is as close as I can get to how I think I'd like it to be.
Right.
And then we land, and then all kinds of things can happen and get in the way, and we have free will. But there's always that nudge. There's always that feeling of, but I could be a jazz singer, but I could never be a jazz singer, or I could be a famous painter, or I could go to the moon. Actually, oh my gosh, this is really funny. I just made this connection. Can I share this?
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting my goosebumps. Okay, so I've always joked that if I were no longer a healer, if the world was healed and I wasn't needed any longer to be a healer, I would become an astronaut, and I would go out into space, because I love space, and I've had these amazing dreams about being out in space. I go to the moon, and I joke, because I'm 56 years old. The likelihood of me becoming a NASA, astronaut is it's slim. It's not impossible, but it's fairly slim.
Right.
But here's the funny thing. Here's the ironic thing. My brother and I inherited from my mother a series of paintings, big, huge paintings. They're 4 feet by 2 feet by a Canadian Indigenous painter called Norval Morrisseau.
Okay.
Look him up. He's amazing. He's won all kinds of awards. He's passed away since. led a challenging life as an Indigenous person in Canada, but just an incredible painter.
Right.
And these paintings are called the Four Seasons, and we own them. They're not in the public realm yet.
Right.
But the estate of Norval Morrisseau, we connected with the estate because we would like to eventually sell them,
right.
and have copies made of them.
Mm-hmm.
NASA, so here's the connection. NASA, in a couple of weeks, is sending a capsule to the moon. And in this capsule are records, digital records of all kinds of amazing human achievements, including the arts. And they chose Norval Morrisseau's artwork to be featured as one of these amazing human endeavors. My mother, I know it's a rabbit hole, but just stay with me.
No, I'm riding.
Okay, so my mother met Norval Morrisseau when he was on the streets of Vancouver during one of his difficult periods. And he told her about these 4 paintings that he had done called the Four Seasons. And she made a promise to him that she would bring them all together again. And then she did. Over the next year, she went and found these 4 individual paintings in different galleries in Toronto, and she brought them all together and into our home, and we own them. Right. So the curator of the estate said, that's an amazing story. Your mother met Norval Morrisseau in one of his darkest periods, living on the streets, but he was painting these incredible paintings at the time. We want that story, and we want images of those paintings because we are going to put them on the moon. So one of the pictures is my brother and I, when we were much younger, standing in front of these 4 paintings.
How cool.
So here I have said for decades that wouldn't it be fun that I will be an astronaut one day. I'll get to the moon and I'm going to be on the moon.
Yeah, in a picture. What's even weirder is I believe they announced, or maybe they, this may be underled, meaning that it was written as a news story that they're looking at building villages on the moon and what it would take to do that by 2050.
Well, I don't know that I'll be here. Well, hang on. I'm going to live to be 100. So another 50 years. Yeah. Well, yeah. Could be. Could be.
25.
Yeah. But in the meantime, it turns out I've made it to space.
Yay.
Just not the way that I necessarily would have envisioned it. And that's the beautiful thing about when spirit gives us a task. Right? It's this or something better. We don't necessarily know how it's going to unfold. But we always have a hint. If we're paying attention, we'll get those hints. We'll get those hits and those hints as to what it could look like.
Right.
Anyway,
that's amazing. The other part of it is, so what do I do now? I've got the cards. We've got the whole kit here. What does your perfect student happen?
Well, so first of all, the student's going to read my story.
Okay.
So that they have an understanding of why these hearts are significant.
Right.
Then they're going to move into the chapter that talks about what are oracle cards and why are they helpful? Why can we use these as healing tools? Okay. And one of my favorite quotes from my book is that, basically an oracle card is a piece of paper with writing on it and a picture. It's not doing the magic. You are. You are doing the magic when you create the intention. And so I explain in the book how to work with oracle cards, different ways that you can read them. And the easiest way, the one that I love the most, and I've got some of them right here to work with, is I say to my student, okay, think of something. It could be, I just need guidance. It could be something really specific, like what's a good idea for me to think about in my new job or my new relationship or whatever it is. And then you just do this. You just kind of play with them, right? Some people spread them out. There's no right or wrong way.
Right.
I just like to do the shuffle because as I'm doing the shuffle, there's going to be a card that kind of sticks, right? So here's the one that I just pulled. It's called Heart. So this was my fireplace, and I looked up, and in the fire was a log that was burning at the end of it in the shape of a heart. Right. How cool is that?
That's amazing.
Right? So, so what you do is then, so you look at that, you look at the image, you look at the words, passion's heart. What do you immediately feel? What do you immediately think about? You think about, passion and fire and flame. And then in my case, I like to, creation. Exactly. I like to look at the number as well. I do numerology. So 4 and a 1 is a 5.
Uh-huh.
5 is a midway point in a journey.
Uh-huh.
It's when we are given an opportunity to sit with where we've come from, where
Right.
we're going, and decide what we're going to take with us,
Mm-hmm.
right, to the next part. So you can bring in that layer of it as well. And then you read the message on the back. So on this card, it says, fire invokes images of nights and days of passion, of the complete joy in your body and soul united within the body and soul of another, of
Mm-hmm.
all your needs being exceeded, pushed to your limits in physical craving.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge what you think is possible in passion. And from there, once you've read that and you go,
Mm-hmm.
whew, okay, well, that was hot.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go into the book.
Uh-huh.
So in the book, as well as my story and about oracle cards and how to work with oracle cards, each card has its own page
Mm-hmm.
where we delve a little deeper into what was going on, what is going on, and what this could mean.
Right.
So I share in here, I say, as I sat in front of the fire and the passion's heart became obvious to me, I reflected on the power of passion, that
Mm-hmm.
sweeping emotion that allows us to disregard everything else in our lives just for that touch,
Mm-hmm.
the touch that takes our breath away. It can be a scary place to venture into, and it will pull us out of our comfortable existence for as long as we can sustain it. It may be that you need this energy of passion at this time in your life. Have you ever let go of the control of your sexual emotions long enough to know this feeling? It is within you, and it is your right to explore it and know it. This can be done within an existing relationship, without it, or outside of it. Either way, this is the time to explore your sexual passions and allow them to become a part of the whole soul human being. There is healing here.
Cool. Very cool.
So it seems specific to, okay, relationship and sexuality and sensuality and all of that. And yes, and also you can take it to another level of what are you passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
right? What gets you fired up? What gets you super excited? And it seems really appropriate that that's the card I pulled when we're talking about listening to when
Mm-hmm.
your soul and spirit
Right.
gives you guidance as to where you need to go and how you need to get there,
Right.
right? What
So
you
the
need.
unique heart.
Yeah, unique card.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one that you just pulled?
That's the one I just pulled.
Okay.
Well, it jumped, so
It
I think it is pulled.
Okay, yeah. And so what's the number on unique heart?
Unique heart is 10.
Okay, so
Which
10,
is
that's new
1.
beginnings.
Yep.
Right, it's 1, it's new beginnings. And you've got this beautiful, it's actually quite a big rock. I still have it. It's
How cool.
about that big. It's big, big,
Wow.
heavy rock. Just sitting
Uh-huh.
there on the beach, right?
Uh-huh.
But totally unique in that nature made it. So the message of unique heart is each heart is unique. Each being experiences love differently.
Mm-hmm.
Be yourself and love yourself, and all else will follow.
Yep.
Who am I to tell you what love should look like? Who is anyone to judge another for the way in which they love? Never mind someone else's happily ever after. What does yours look like?
Mm-hmm.
Until you've walked in someone else's shoes, do you really have the right to comment on their love story? This lopsided heart rock represents the uniqueness of each person's experiences of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds you to celebrate yourself and your relationships for each unique experience that they bring you.
Mm-hmm.
Love yourself first, and then invite the validation of that love into your external circumstances.
Very cool. So with that, and so we've pulled our card. Now, is this daily? Are we doing this weekly? Like, how are we training here?
So if you're really training, like if what you want is to understand how to work with oracle cards as a guiding tool, then I would recommend that you do a reading every day for yourself for the first week or two to get really familiar with the cards, the energy of the cards, the images on them, what's coming up for you. And that's why I included the journal in the box set, because there you've got all of these beautiful pages. And again, this is all my photography, where you've got lots of space where you can start tracking what's coming up for you, what you felt when you read the card, how it relates or related to what was going on for you at the time. And as you do that, you're deepening your relationship with your intuition.
Right.
So the whole thing is about your intuition. And oracle cards are a beautiful way to practice, exercise, and hone your intuition, because you're going to find yourself at a point where you pull a card and you just know intuitively the significance of it.
Right. And for me, like tarot, I don't care what the deck is. I don't care who made the deck. After about 5 years of working with it, you can work with any deck, from baseball to unicorn. And believe me, I've owned them all.
Yep.
To what is that deck? Oh, the Italian Renaissance reimagined tarot. The level of symbolism that is trapped within that deck could drive a man crazy. It's actually the deck that has the Bible imprinted in it.
Wow.
That's how they kept the deck alive in the 400s, because it's like, no, this is just a game of things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so once you master tarot, you can like, I have done this. We have had to do this. I go to an event, and my tarot decided it didn't want to come to the event, and we breakneck to a bookstore. I'll take this one. Oh, let's throw this one in. Phenomenal readings. Oracle cards is like chewing a whole new candy bar.
Well, yes, it is. And I studied tarot extensively for a long time, wanting to really delve into the deeper layers of it, because there is such an incredible depth of symbolism. Excuse me for a moment.
You're fine.
All things happen for a reason. Apparently now the dog is insisting on coming back in.
Come on back, Pepe.
Come on back in, Frankie. Come on, in you go. There we go. She always shows up for when I do sessions. She likes to sit in on the session, and then at the end she lets me know that we're done. But we're not done yet, Frankie. But with Oracle, because with tarot, because there's a structure for some people, that's where they're most comfortable, when there is an understanding. Okay, well, this symbol means this, and so it translates to this, and it can apply to my client's life like this. Oracle can take you out of your comfort zone, because it is expecting you to trust the free flow of information, as it comes to you. And so when my students are learning how to work with the Oracle cards, it's not always an easy step for them. They second guess themselves. You know, they might spend a lot of time reading the book. I mean, I read from the book today so that we could get the full story. And there's nothing wrong with reading from the book. I do it often because there's the way in which the author has written the messages are significant to the person who's hearing them. They're going to hear something different from it. But there is also the requirement with Oracle for you to listen to your own intuition and find that quiet space within you where you know this is the understanding. These are the words I'm needing to speak for my client to get the message that they need to get. And so the Oracle opens up communication, where I find that where tarot can again be more structured in how you are allowed to interpret it,
and it depends on the reader. And what I mean by that, and because it drives me crazy, there are readers out there that will go card by card definition, aquatic meaning, numerology, elemental, blah blah blah, and the clients want to know, is he calling this week? And they've got a 10-card spread over this, and I'm like, no, you ain't calling. You know. It's that style. Oracle allows you, however, especially if you are a new reader or you are new to the author, beautiful ways to do readings, beautiful ways to connect. The journey of the heart, I think, is a very important one, especially because, you know, even we go back to Egypt, the heart was where the soul lived. The heart was where the mind and the logic lived. The brain was trash. You know, and the deck's gorgeous. The paper quality's a 10. It can handle my shuffle.
Okay, excellent.
So it gets 5 cups of coffee, and you know, someone's got 44 days of work ahead of him that he will be sharing with his Patreon.
Wonderful.
With permission to hopefully take pictures, so that it's like, here's the card of the day, guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Please.
Okay, cool.
Please do that. Yeah. My intention with creating this deck, like the foundational intention, is I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but it's like to spread the love.
Yeah.
You know, get people understanding how important their heart is, their heart health, both at the physical level,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's through nutrition and exercise and good eating and good living and all those other good things.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also at the emotional and the energetic level, which is about connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about opening up
Mm-hmm.
our heart, because when we talk about you know, the heart math is a
Right.
whole thing. It's a whole
It's a
training and a
whole
whole
theory.
learning. And it's that the heart is electromagnetic, and it puts out a pulse, and at
Mm-hmm.
the energetic level it puts out
Right.
feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's why you can walk into a room and you can feel the energy in the room, and if it's not a good energy, you know, and if it's a great energy, you feel it and you want to connect with it, and you open up your heart. If we were all coming from a heart-centered place and we were leading with our heart, we were listening to our heart, you know,
Mm-hmm.
above all other voices, that quote, what a different world this would be, right?
Oh, imagine that. Oh my
I
goodness.
do. I imagine it all the time.
And then if you use your reticular brain, which, you know, that's all part of reading, that's all like seeing signs and symbols as you program your reticular brain to it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start seeing those effects manifestal around you.
Absolutely. That's the ripple effect.
Yeah.
And when I talk about healing the world, I don't mean that I'm going to heal the world. And honestly, the world doesn't need me to heal it. But there
Mm-hmm.
are wounded people in the world who are looking
Mm-hmm.
for a sense of wellness and a sense of, I don't know, a completeness or a wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to heal the world, because all I need to do is have an impact on one person.
Mm-hmm.
If I can have a positive impact on one person, and
Mm-hmm.
that person walks out into their day,
Mm-hmm.
their good feeling, their good vibes, their good
Mm-hmm.
vibration, you know, let's quote the Beach
Right.
Boys here, they'll smile at the next person that they see. And then that person will feel better and not really
Exactly.
realize why. And they'll take it with them. And it's exponential.
Right.
Yeah. So that's that's the main reason I made this deck of cards, was to
Right.
help with that healing of the heart, so that we can be in our heart's energy.
Right.
With every connection we make.
And learning to connect within that connection. And, you know, how's your results?
How's my results?
Yeah. What's the effect you've had a decade? What's your data tell you?
My data tells me that people love this deck.
Yes.
The feedback I've had, I have not received a single negative critique or criticism from
Right.
it. And that's not tooting my own horn. It's just to say that it lands for people.
Yeah.
There's something about it that lands for people who
Mm-hmm.
who are looking for it. That's what they don't even know necessarily they're looking for, but they know they're looking for something
Mm-hmm.
that is all together.
Right.
And so it's been wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's been wonderful. And what I love more than anything is every once in a while I'll get an email. Actually, I had an email from someone, gosh, about a year ago now. And unfortunately, I've lost the email. I wish I could find it again. She shared with me that a friend of hers was walking down the street and found a free box. And my deck of Oracle cards, the full box set, was sitting in this free box, which I think is fabulous. I think it's wonderful. I love free boxes, first of all. I think they're great. And secondly, it means that whoever had the box set prior no longer needed it, or it wasn't a fit for them, whichever. It doesn't matter, because it's going to find it. The tool is going to find the person that needs it most. And this person, she said to me, it blew her mind.
Right.
It was exactly what she needed.
Right.
And she just wanted to reach out and let me know what an amazing impact it had for her, and how much she was enjoying it. You know, this is a complete stranger taking time out of their day to reach out and share with me their experience of it. You know, and I don't need that. I don't need it from everybody, but it is really lovely when it happens.
It's very needful, though, because here's the thing. The healers, the readers, they need it themselves. You know, because we take care of, we blast, we, you know, 48 hours, keep going, taking care of them, keep, pick up, do. And then something happens. And then, you know, the words keep getting popped in. Healer, heal thyself.
Healer, heal thyself.
Which sometimes I think is the most annoying comment. What about you, darling?
I love healer, heal thyself. I think it is such an important reminder. I mean, again, yes, could be overworked, but you know, it's the Oracle of Delphi says, healer, heal thyself. It's long known that caregivers burn out.
Yes.
We can burn out. Healers are caregivers.
Yes.
But healer, heal thyself for me is about the healer doing their own work first, or while they are learning how to help others. Right? Because if I haven't done my own work on my own traumas, my own pain, my own life story, where there is need for healing, then if I'm helping somebody and their story is like my story that I haven't healed yet, I will be triggered.
And they'll do that over and over and over and over and over and over again until it's like, are you paying attention?
But when we've done our work, and this is when I do my Confident Healers program, my 12-month course, the first and the most important thing throughout those whole 12 months is that for every section that we learn about different kinds of metaphysical and energetic and all that kinds of healing, that whatever comes up, we work with it so that when that healer is sitting in front of their client and that thing comes up, they can recognize that it's not theirs.
Right.
It's their clients. And I've had people ask me many, many times over all the years that I've been doing this work, don't you get exhausted? Isn't it exhausting?
Never.
Well, at one point it was. It used to be before I really understood this concept of A, boundaries, and B, my own work, and that my client's job is not to heal me. My job is to hold space for my client's healing.
Right.
I feel energized when I can distinguish between what is mine and what is theirs. And I know that I've accomplished that when no matter how horrendous the story is that they share with me, and no matter how deep and traumatic the healing needs to be for what they've been through, I don't take it with me out of that session.
And I think that's the key point right there.
Yeah.
But no, I know a lot of, especially newbie, what I call I'm not going to call you baby readers, newbie professional readers. Within 6 months, they've got health problems out there out wazoo. They've got everything, and I'm like, one, slow down. Two, what are you seeing here? Oh, you got stomach issues and back issues, and what is your clients dealing with? Stress and anxiety. So what are you not doing?
Yeah. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not creating a structure where they feel that they've got space for themselves that is different and separate from the space that they create for their client.
Right. And I also find that they have a tendency to use their own energy.
Yes. And that is something.
Tap universe.
Yeah. Yes. So something that I train my students in is that we can create ourselves as a conduit. Imagine a tube, and imagine there's this amazing healing energy, and it's going zipping through that tube or that cord, and it's going to your client if your client is open to that energy. You can't force it on them.
Right.
And you can't take it for yourself in that moment. You simply allow it to move through you towards them. That's what really clear, pure energy healing is all about. Right. And you don't take any of that energy for yourself because you have enough of your own. You've got vast stores of your own energy. Right. Right. And in that way, that's where you can create that really positive, healthy boundary and still be able to do that energy work with them. And for me, the most important thing is then that they understand that that's their energy and they can access it themselves. They don't need to come to me every time. Right. They can learn to do it themselves. They can come back to me if they want to. We can do the work, sure. However, I want to empower my clients, whether it's with oracle card readings or energy healing or chakra work or psychological healing, whatever it is.
Or all of it.
Or all of it. That's right.
Yeah, because everything ties into everything. So when's your class open for 2025? Because I'm only seeing 2024 here.
Oh, there are classes coming up in 2025. I'm in a reboot right now.
Okay, cool. We all are.
We all are. Yes. And for the last 5 years, I have stepped away from the intense teaching that I was doing in order to do exactly what we just talked about. Fill my own cup, replenish myself. Right. and really get clear on what is it that I want to share with the
Mhm.
world and what is it that I want to teach. And then finding ways to do that that sustain me financially
Mhm.
as well as energetically.
Right.
That may be different than the way I was doing it a few years ago. So
Mhm.
all the courses that I had, I have so many of them. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see there's all sorts of stuff there,
Right.
many of which has come out of live talks I've given, workshops I've given, and more longer term certification classes. So
Right.
intuitive energy massage, which is my energy healing modality,
Mhm.
that I will be reinstating in 2025 and getting more practitioners out there
Right.
in the world because we need that. The Confident Healer, which is the 12-month healers program, that
Mhm.
is also going to come back in person. So that's if you're living in the Victoria area in
Right.
Canada. But I'm also looking for ways in which I can put that online so it becomes still interactive. You're still working with me. I'm still your teacher. I'm still your mentor, but we're doing it from all over the world.
That would be amazing.
I know, and I've got the goosebumps, and it's something I've
Right.
wanted to do for a very long time. And again, it's one of those moments where saying to spirit, okay, I can feel the energy of 2025. I can feel
Mhm.
my capacity coming back
Mhm.
for this work.
Right.
So line me up with the people I need to cross
Mhm.
paths with to do the work that I am not that great at doing. Like, how do I put together an online class, for example, right? What videos do I need to pull from all of the videos that I have to package something that's really professional and really slick that someone can do on their own? And
Mhm.
then how do I then create also an interactive online where you're in person with me and we take that journey for those 12 months, even if you're in New Zealand or Antarctica or on the moon for that
I don't
matter.
know. If I was doing it, what I would do is first run the interactive
Hmm.
as a Zoom, then edit the Zoom as the rewatch or self-study course.
Excuse me. Yes, and I do have every course that I've taught, we
Uh-huh.
have video of. So I
Right.
have 7 years worth of live
Classes.
classes video
Mhm.
already that we're looking at. It's
Yeah.
just such a vast amount that
Mhm.
I let myself get overwhelmed with it. So I'm looking for that person who can come in and say, "Oh, look at all these neat pieces. I'm going to put them together for you."
Right.
And then it flows. And I've got the workbooks and I've got all of the supporting materials.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all
It's
there.
easy to do. And there's so many platforms you could do that on. I love Patreon. Like that's where I run my inner circle at. I love it. I don't have to deal with billing. I have to deal with, oh, I need to set a class date. Oh, I need to make sure that the internal stuff, but all the like storing of videos and managing a file, I don't have to do that. I let them take their little 12% and handle that.
Awesome. Well, this is what I'm doing right now is the
Mhm.
research onto the where and the how and the why of it
Mhm.
in order to streamline it, make it really beautiful, really accessible,
Mhm.
and give it to the world. And I mean, not completely altruistically. Obviously, I have to make money too, and so that's also part of that's a really key piece to the healer's journey that my
Mhm.
students always struggle with at the end of their program. It's like, okay, you're going out into the world now. How much are you going to charge? Like, well, I wish I could do it for free. No,
No.
you don't.
Well, not only that, but it's against energy.
Yes, it is. Exactly.
I love that, and this was the class that my teacher that taught me Reiki. She's like, it's against the Reiki. It's against the energy. There has to be an exchange. There's always been an exchange.
Yeah.
Granted, it used to be food and cattle and whatever.
Yeah.
Now it has to be money.
Yeah. It
And
does.
this is what you deserve. And I think
Exactly.
that deserve is a problem. And what I mean by that is people have to have that self value of, no, I deserve,
Mm.
my time is valuable. What is my time valuable for?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And yeah, the word deserve, it's a bit of a loaded word. It could be a
Hmm.
triggering word. For me, when I teach it to people, it's energy. I
Hmm.
When someone hands you $100 bill for a
Hmm.
30-minute session or whatever it is,
Hmm.
$500 for a 30-minute session doesn't it's there's an exchange.
Right.
You have provided a service that is of value to them.
Hmm.
You have impacted them in some way. They have
Hmm.
opened themselves to that work,
Hmm.
you do them a disservice
Mm-hmm.
if you say no thank you to that money, and you burn out and you can't pay your bills. So, you know, like God or spirit or whomever did not expect you to starve on the streets and be an effective healer for other people.
Well, not only that, but the great whatever has imprinted that into every culture.
Yeah.
That healers are paid well.
Yes. Yes, we need to remove the idea, the concept of the starving healer, the same way
Mm-hmm.
we have to remove the concept of the starving artist.
Mm-hmm.
This is valuable work.
Right.
And without it, well, it's a lot
Right.
harder to be human.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only is it a lot harder to be human, but I find like that we have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here? Utopian idealism within the healing community, within the reading community. And it's like, this is not the system source created.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and it's like teaching. Teaching should be paid for. Whether it's filing my files, washing my floors, or handing me $20.
Mm-hmm.
You choose.
Yeah.
That's the way that should be. So that's my viewpoint. I love the deck. I'm going to be working it. My Patreons are going to get to watch that. So you can catch that link in the description down there.
Wonderful.
And your classes are coming back, which I'm grateful for. Now, granted, we're going to hopefully she'll hop online so that, you know, oh, heaven forgive, you know, you have to go to Victoria, Canada and enjoy some good coffee because they, even at Starbucks, they do more caffeine than they do the US. Although Tom Hortons is very powerful too. And you get to like go to a real grocery store.
Yes. I keep hearing about how different grocery stores are between Canada and the United States from various podcasters that I've been working with. And I guess I have been naive in assuming that a grocery store is full of groceries and fresh food. And apparently that's not always true.
Mm-hmm. It's not true.
Yeah.
The grocery stores that I visited in Canada, I would say probably 80% is fresh. In the US, it's the reverse. Probably 20% is fresh.
Wow.
Everything else is processed.
And there's a big movement in Canada for farmers and farm fresh food, local food grown. You know, there's something called the 100-mile diet,
Mm-hmm.
where you only eat food that has been grown within 100 miles of where you live.
Uh-huh.
And we have a lot of organic or organically based farmers in Canada, mm-hmm. so that food is available even in big cities. There are
Mm-hmm.
specialty markets where it's organic. Even in our regular grocery stores, we have an organic section, and it's not just a little tiny poultry section. It's a fairly mm-hmm. significant section right. at this point. Part of what I do when I help people is to help them understand, you know, food as mm-hmm. medicine and the importance of growing their own food if they can, even if it's just a pot of herbs on the deck, mm-hmm. or knowing where their food comes from and understanding the benefit of food as medicine. It's a whole other area of the.
It's a whole different thing. Now, mm-hmm. which one is that? Your intuitive counseling?
If you go to shop on the website, you'll come across a link to Beyond the Garden Gate Botanicals, and that is my other company. And I have an Etsy store, and I teach people about wild foods and herbs and nutrition and how to forage. And then also I wildcraft salves and tinctures and ointments and balms mm-hmm. and teas and things to help support people through their journeys with natural medicine, in addition to whatever other medicine they might be be taking.
You know, and that, you know, has a lot there. A lot of salves. You got tinctures in. You got spices in. Of course, I'm assuming these are seasonal.
Well, they are harvested in season, yes.
Yeah.
And they are all organic. They're either things that I've grown in my own organic garden, or mm-hmm. that I have foraged from the seashore for the seaweed salve, for example. That's a local mm-hmm. seaweed that I use for that. Or the mushrooms, those are ones that I have gone out into the forest and foraged myself. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the resin saps, all the ingredients are all ethically foraged from my environment. And I am very fortunate to live in Victoria, where the natural environment is just everywhere.
Gorgeous.
You know? Yeah.
It's gorgeous. And you go over how to make the teas, and because there's a proper way to make herbal tea. It is not throw it in your Keurig.
No. And you will probably, if you're interested in making your own teas, and there's lots of really good sources online for organic loose tea that you can then, make your teas with. But you're probably going to make some pretty awful teas at the beginning. I know I did when I was in my 20s in university, and I was getting super excited about this. Oh my God, I made some horrible teas. I drank them because I thought they were good for me, and maybe they were, but boy, were they bad. But you get better. It's like with anything. It's like with reading oracle cards, or trusting your intuition, or opening up your psychic abilities, or making herbal teas.
Everything takes practice.
Everything takes practice. You're going to make mistakes, but you're also going to have these amazing aha moments of like, wow, I didn't know I knew that. I didn't know that was possible. You can't make this shit up. This is so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, you do also have your healing services, intuitive energy appointments. You can go there and book and sit down and have a conversation. Because the last time you were on, you set off kind of a chain of fire. That's the best way I can explain it. With 90% of people cannot take gluten.
Right.
And dairy is apparently right behind that.
Yes, it is.
And, our Depression era style food creation.
Yes.
Is doing a great disservice to everyone.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, the lobbyists for the food industry, the lobbyists for the pharmaceutical industry, the dairy industry, their interests are not your health and well-being. No, they're not. Their interests are their bottom line. They are a business, okay, sure, but their ethical practices are somewhat in question at this point in time. We look at Monsanto, we look at all of the chemicals, the forever chemicals that are now in our system, that are in our food, the plastics that are in our foods,
right?
And the pharmaceuticals. It's a whole conversation about that, and that's why it is just so important to educate yourself as to what it is that's going on in your world, like what's going on in your environment, what's going on in your food system, what's going on in your water. And instead of falling down a rabbit hole of depression, oh my gosh, the world is ending and it's, chaos and anarchy, there are lots and lots of things that you can do to help yourself be healthy and avoid these pitfalls as much as possible.
Right. And I think the first one is starting to listen to the body.
Yes. Listen to your body.
Yeah.
Here's the beautiful thing about intuition. You have it. It's yours. It's a muscle. It's something you may not have been brought up knowing about, but you've got it. Every one of us does. We're a psychic species. So when you sit quietly and you ask your body, what do you need me to do? You're going to hear something right away. You might not like what you hear. It might be stop drinking beer. It might be don't, sit around eating potato chips all day. It might be get up off the couch and go for a walk. And that might not fit into what you think your day is going to look like. The thing is, if you ignore that, eventually you are going to come to one of those big wake-up calls. And we were talking about that earlier, that you can avoid those big wake-up calls if you're listening ahead of time and taking that guided action to do those things, however small they might be.
Right. And sometimes that means going against the grain.
Yeah, it usually does.
Okay. And what I mean by that, and this is a hard concept because, I will tell you, you can go ahead and put your complaints into complaints@aesonknight.com. They will go into the delete bin like they always do, but you can send them. Brenda's been here for a while. She knows I have gone through a lot of health changes. And things that people go, oh my God, you should not be eating that. You're going to get sick. Why are you eating potato chips and Coke? Because it's what stays down and my body is accepting that food. Oh my God, you're eating peanut butter fudge. Yes, and losing 20 pounds. So tell me again that it's bad for me?
Well, and that hits on the relationship that we have with the foods that we eat. right?
Right.
And when I work with people who have addictions, whether it's to cigarettes or it's to drinking or it's to drugs or it's to food of certain kinds, the first thing we do is not make the substance the enemy or the criminal, right? That's not the bad guy.
Right.
What we look at is what is the need in the body for that substance? And we look at it from that perspective. And we look at it as, is there actually a healthy healing relationship that can happen between you and the ice cream or you and the cigarette? Is there a healthier ice cream that you can eat? Is there a different kind of cigarette that you can smoke? And I'm not pointing fingers at you. I'm just, it's very common for a lot of people.
No, let's cover this real quick because I get a lot of shit for it and I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 years old, about every 2 months, 3 o'clock in the morning, an old army doctor is getting called out of bed to come admit his patient's son to the hospital because he's in an unending asthma attack. And sticking him in an oxygen tent. And probably after the 10th time he got aggravated, to take this kid home and get him on a menthol-based cigarette.
Yeah, nicotine is a medicine.
Yes.
And it has been for tens of thousands of years. It's no different than gluten. We were talking about this before the show started.
That's the newest one, but
the original wheat isn't the same as the wheat that we have today.
Quick question: is Italian wheat the same that we used to have, or is that just?
It's more similar to the ancient grains. The European wheat is more similar to the ancient grains than North American wheat is.
Okay.
North American wheat is heavily modified.
Yes.
It's genetically modified to be fatter, thicker, more glutinous, grow faster. It's laden with chemicals, with pesticides and herbicides. It's a monoculture where it's grown. The soil is completely depleted.
It has been
For a long time. There's very different agricultural practices, even at large scale in America, in the US, and in Canada. Less so in Canada, but more so in the US than there is in Europe, or even in Mexico for that matter.
Right.
So there are chemicals that are allowed in the American food system that are banned almost everywhere else in the world.
Right. It's like diabetic sugar.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm a diabetic. Yeah, you got to use that artificial sweetener if you want sweetness. No, I don't need to get fat and increase my diabetes. I'll use less sugar. Yeah.
So it goes back to that relationship, right? So if what you need for your lung health is tobacco, and I know there's going to be people going, "Wow, no, tobacco's bad for your lungs." No, real tobacco, organically grown, sustainable tobacco is healing on your lungs. That's why the indigenous peoples used it.
Right.
They used it in healing ceremonies. They used it in communication ceremonies. They used it as a way to calm everybody down because it does have those kinds of effects when it is coming in its most natural state.
Right.
So there are healthy ways that you can work with that substance. And that was the same with ice cream. There's healthy ice cream and there's maybe not so healthy ice cream.
Interesting though.
It's about the education again. It's about learning.
It's about the education. It's about going back to pre-1942 and doing research pre-1942.
Yeah.
Here is why. Do you know tobacco wasn't evil until 1942? Do you know why it became evil? Because they had to pay for a war.
Yeah. That's also why cannabis became illegal, because they had to pay for a war, and they needed to have soldiers hopped up on stimulants, not on calmatives. Generally, people don't shoot each other when they are high.
Right.
Too busy having a fun time. But when people get alcohol in their system, which is why soldiers are allowed to drink at 16 instead of 21 in the United States and instead of 19 in Canada, that's why. Because alcohol is an aggravant. It aggravates people if they're already prone to that. But if everybody's, it's like the 60s, come on, everybody have, peace, love, and brotherhood. You can't fight a war on peace, love, and brotherhood.
Right. But no, like tobacco became evil when the Nazis had to figure out how to fight a war. And then every study from then on And this is the problem why you got to sit down and look at the study, but look at who's paying for the study.
Yeah. Yes, and that's the same for so much of what was going on in the world right now.
Geomodified foods. Who's paying for the studies that says they're fine?
Yeah. Who's paying for those safe and effective studies?
Who's paying for the study in general of why are we adding sawdust to cheese when we could be adding cornstarch, but it weighs less?
Yeah. I know. But again, here's what I want to reiterate.
Right.
Let's bring it back to this.
Yeah.
We still have autonomy.
Yes.
We still have free will, and we still have access. You may have to dig for it because mainstream censorship is still huge, but we still have access to alternative information, alternative studies. If you go outside of the US and you go look at other countries and the research that they are doing on foods and herbs and essential oils and other ways of treating disease, instead of, say, for cancer, the big two for cancer, there are countries that don't do that, and they have a much higher survival rate because they're using other things to help support the body, and they're looking at the body as a holistic system, not just a single cell or a single part. So if you're interested in finding alternative ways to be healthy, look outside the box of what you've been taught. Question everything.
And I'm going to say this, and this is a techie side of it. Use a VPN, especially if you're in the US. If you're possibly in Canada, use a VPN. Your search results will be so much different.
So different. I know. It's amazing. The information that's out there, the healing potential that's out there, the very ancient healing systems. I mean, our mainstream medicine is a very new medical model, and it's already failing dramatically and drastically and in less than 150 years. But there are medical models that have been around for 10,000 years, and they're doing just fine. Thank you very much.
Ancient Chinese medicine is fabulous.
Yes, yeah. And there's so many others as well. The Ayurvedic, indigenous medicine,
which we're losing, unfortunately. We need to get go sit with your old people.
Yeah.
Please go sit and listen to stories and record them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or come and talk to me because I've got so much of it, and I'm constantly researching. I'm constantly learning and teaching myself more so that I can then share that with
pop
other
it out and share it and get it there, and hit that contact list, hit those Facebooks, Instagram, YouTube. It's all at the top of the screen, guys. Go to that website. You can get all of it together. And look for the growth. Look for when healing services open back up and her appointment schedule is working and consultations are going on, and book them.
Well, all of that is happening. The classes are what I'm working on reestablishing, but you can work with me from anywhere in the world. We can work online. We can do Zoom. We can do all kinds of different video ways of doing it, and all the booking links and everything is there. All the pricing is there on the website. Oh yeah, it's all working.
It's all there. I mean, tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST, she's available. Get on it.
Better check my calendar quickly.
Pull up your calendar and it's get on it.
It's all there. Yeah,
it's all there. And when the classes come up, take them. She's done the hard work. You guys get to do the easy work because I've designed and I have classes, and it's a lot goes into putting them together. More than let's take a book and read it. It's no, let's go and delve into why is the yellow the color of the fool's frock. Let's go back to Patricia's journal and figure out why she chose yellow instead of blue or pink.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing about courses, especially when you do them in a group, is that you've got that group synergy, and you will learn better, you will learn more, and you will learn more completely when you are in a group environment, even if it's just one or two other people. Then if you're sitting all by yourself doing it on your own, you can certainly do it that way. And I've done courses like that. Sometimes that's all I have the breadth for. But I know that when a group comes together, the learning is exponential.
Right.
And the validation of your own skills in terms of intuitive healing and mastery of that
Right.
is immense when you have people that you trust who come together with you on that journey
Right.
and are there with you. So when you're doing that, I want to be a card reader. Well, great. And you can do your own thing for a while, but then find a course where there's other people that you get to try it out on and test yourself against, and that are there to support you as well as you're doing it.
And you need that.
Yes.
On any skill, you need someone to go, hey, today's a bad day. You just need to go get some naps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and pulling it in.
That's right.
Right. And Brenda says in groups, others ask those questions that we need to hear, but don't know to ask. Exactly. And you're able to pull it together. You're able to get comfortable in groups. Live classes are best. Videos are next. But what do you got coming on next? Because you're getting your classes going, but you've had some developments.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, at the moment, one of the things that I'm putting out on Facebook, love it or don't, but I'm using Facebook right now, is a series of 10 different herbs, culinary and medicinal herbs, and how to work with them. So every week for the next 10 weeks on my Megan Edge Healing Facebook page and on my Instagram page, people are going to be able to dive into a different herb and work with that herb throughout the week and learn all of its components, learn its medicine, learn how to grow it so that by the time spring comes around, people can put together a beautiful medicinal and culinary garden for themselves.
Right. That would be found anywhere. If we stuck to Victorian standards, a home was not a home until it had a garden.
That's right. That's right. And the beautiful thing about herbs, especially, is that they don't need a lot of space necessarily.
Nope.
So you could be in a high rise in New York, and if you've got a balcony or a sunny window, you can grow some of these herbs, and then you can be using these fresh herbs that you have grown in your food, making teas with them, understanding the importance of their medicine, and getting really excited about it and doing more research on your own of it. So that's something that's happening right now. I just posted today, actually, the first herb, the first explanation of what I'm doing, and then the first herb, which was thyme, and then next week is tarragon, and then we go from there for those 10 weeks, and following that will be 10 medicinal flowers, edible and medicinal flowers for your garden.
Nice.
And their properties as well. So that's something that is happening as we speak.
Right.
And then there's so much more.
Exactly. Plus, books being written, like, you got a full box.
I do. Yeah. I do have a full box, and I'm really loving that again.
Yeah.
I did need the self-care that I gave myself over the last few years, and that's another story, but so important. And if I'm going to talk my talk, I also have to walk my talk.
Right.
Right. And
so you have to know when to pull in and go, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Exactly. And they're kind of, rein it in, bring it in, do the self-care, looking after those that are most important to me, my children and my family, my husband and my dog, who is back sleeping now. And then being able to nourish all of these wonderful ideas, like the Beyond the Garden Gate botanicals I developed over the last 3 years.
Right.
And just see what's possible with all of it.
Right. And with that, it's important because you're actually making the bottle. So often do we see drop ship stuff, like slap my name on it, drop ship it, give me my 20%.
No, this is all me. Every single item that I put out into the world has had my loving hands on it.
And that, I think, is highly important to push.
Yeah.
Well, darling, thank you so much for joining us. It's been really good to hang out and talk again. We're going to be playing with this Patreons, along with my morning coffee videos that will be back hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to do them differently so I can actually get more than 2 minutes in. Where can they find you? Other than, go to the website. Website's right down there.
Right.
Where's your favorite posting place?
Well, I really like LinkedIn.
Okay.
I have to say I find it a very professional platform. It's also a really great networking platform. It's a great place for slightly more maybe intellectual connection,
Yeah.
then Facebook has its place in time though, and I do enjoy Facebook. So you can find me on Facebook at Beyond the Garden Gate Botanicals. I have a Facebook page for that, for Megan Edge Healing, and then just Megan Edge if you just want to say hi. There's quite a funny picture of me laughing for my profile picture there. LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm on Learn It Live, and that's a teaching platform. And right now you can take my 5 ways of connecting to your intuition course. That's a free course. And then there'll be more courses coming as I organize everything on Learn It Live. So there's that as well. And then you can just reach out to me. I love a good email. Send me an email. Yeah.
And she answers her own emails.
I
She doesn't have a secretary yet.
No, not yet. But I wish there was another one of me.
You know how hard cloning is?
I know. But I don't know. Is it? I mean, maybe there's an underground lab somewhere where they're already doing it.
I don't know. You guys are supposed to have the Greys up there. Can you ask them? Because they won't talk to us. After Hoover had a visit with them, they're like, nope, we ain't talking to you.
I don't know. But you guys get the crop circles. I don't know if we have those up here.
We get the warning symbols. That's what we get. All right, darling. I will see you later, guys. We're going to take a break, and then we'll come back for your 2 favorite segments.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I look forward to carrying on our conversation another time. Okay.
Yes. Bye, darlings.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Love diving into metaphysical topics, psychic insights, and lively discussions? Now you can help keep the conversation going. By becoming a Patreon supporter of The Psychic Coffee Shop, you'll gain access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and special perks just for our patrons. Join our community and ensure that your favorite psychic show continues to thrive. Your support helps us bring more enlightening episodes, special guests, and deep dives into the world of the unseen. Become a patron today and enjoy a cup of wisdom with us every week. Click the link to join the baristas and unlock exclusive content. Thank you for your support.
Unlock your full potential with Aeson Knight's life coaching. Are you ready to take control of your life and manifest the future you deserve? Aeson Knight, a seasoned life coach and master psychic, is here to guide you on a transformative journey. Whether you're navigating personal challenges, career transitions, or seeking spiritual growth, Aeson's life coaching services offer tailored guidance to help you achieve your goals. With Aeson by your side, you'll discover the tools to overcome obstacles, embrace your true self, and create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. His unique blend of spiritual insight and practical coaching empowers you to turn your dreams into reality. Ready to make a change? Book your session today and start your journey to a more empowered, balanced, and joyful life with Aeson Knight. Click the link to schedule your first session and step into your power.
Are you ready for an electrifying podcast experience that keeps you coming back for more? Join Aeson Knight every week as he takes you on a journey through captivating shows, each exploring unique and fascinating topics. And here's the best part. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode where you can get your burning questions answered live on air, absolutely free. Whether it's relationship advice, career guidance, or mystical insights, Aeson's podcasts have got you covered. When you subscribe, you become part of a vibrant community, engaging directly with Aeson as he shares his wisdom and leaves you feeling empowered and enlightened. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation. What you'll get by subscribing: Monday 5 p.m. Metaphysics. Today, soulful conversations with Aeson Knight and Firefly, exploring the essence of metaphysics in today's world. Tuesday 8 p.m. The Psychic Coffee Shop. Dive into current events with a psychic twist, featuring special guests and thought-provoking discussions. Friday 9 p.m. The Mountain Bears Podcast. Lively discussions from a gayish, techie-ish, bearish perspective with Aeson and Joe. Sunday 5 p.m., Psychic That Plans. Get a weekly tarot energy overview and time management tips from Aeson Knight. Click here to subscribe now and never miss an episode. By subscribing, you're not just tuning in, you're joining a community of curious minds and ensuring you're always in the loop with Aeson's insightful and interactive shows. Don't wait. Hit that subscribe button and get ready for an amazing podcast journey.
Ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery? Join Lord Aeson Knight in our Wicca courses. Unveil the secrets of Wicca. Explore deity relationships, rituals, and more. As a third-degree high priest, Aeson Knight guides you toward empowerment and enlightenment. Enroll today and take your first step into the magical circle. Click the link to begin your journey.
Psychic Saturday. Get 50% off with Aeson Knight every third Saturday of the month. Don't miss out. Book now.
All right, welcome back. Hope you're working. Your computer's being pinged. Mike. Nope. All right, he's going to be playing with that. I'm going to be reading the Are You an Asshole? And hello.
Yes. So it may not be the best audio, but at least you can hear.
Yes.
All right. So, am I the asshole for refusing to go into our renovation house and remove wallpaper while 23 weeks pregnant? My husband asked me to go into our renovation house, which has no heating. The temperature has been in the minus the last couple of days, so the house is freezing, and no electricity, and remove wallpaper because I took a week off work and I'm free to do it. I am 23 weeks pregnant and starting to feel really heavy while doing normal daily things and taking care of our 18-month-old toddler. I have gone to help twice previously with my husband as he has ADHD and struggles to focus on one task at a time and instead jumps from one to the next. I refused to help this time because I found it unreasonable to ask me to go by myself and sit there removing wallpaper in the freezing cold. When I refused, his reaction was to call me ungrateful, as he has done all the work himself and I should at least do a little regardless of whether I am pregnant.
Nope, you're not. You're not the asshole. Your husband is, though.
Here's my problem.
Okay.
I will agree to the not the asshole.
Okay.
My problem comes in, like, this is one of those, your problem isn't the problem. You have a very, like, you have limited the situation down.
Mm-hmm.
The only real answer is you're not the asshole.
Right.
You are one kid in the world and one kid on the way into the world.
Mm-hmm.
The spouse that has ADHD that you know nothing about.
Right.
So you now have one child here and one child on the way. Statistically, at least one of them
Mm-hmm.
is going to have ADD or ADHD. And you can't hear your spouse.
Right.
You haven't heard him. I will guarantee he has said things before now
Mm-hmm.
that are, in one way or another, asking for help. The help, like this let's be nice, and I mean this with love. Aeson says asshole things on a daily basis, sometimes many at a time. Stop hearing them.
Mm-hmm.
The overall lesson that you have to have with ADHD and ADD, stop hearing that. What you need to hear is, I am in a situation in which my dopamine is diminishing.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is going to be a problem. I need help.
Right.
And it's going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Once the situation is urgent and emerging, it's going to start small.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to work its way up. So by the time you're at, he's an asshole, you've missed every other off-ramp
Mm-hmm.
to a much easier experience. And you've ended up in the town
Mm-hmm.
of asshole.
Mm-hmm.
It is in the country. It is the capital of ADHDistan. And this is where we are now. because this has hit like I'm about to fail.
Right.
I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm exasperated, I don't know how to ask for or cannot articulate in a nice, quiet way anymore that I need help.
Right.
Now.
Mm-hmm.
One, does your husband actually think and expect you to, pregnant with a toddler, go over in freezing weather to a place with no electricity and scrape wallpaper while managing the toddler in this freezing cold? Not real.
Right.
That is the shortest distance between 2 points.
Right.
That at this level of overwhelm, his brain can come up with to get him past the point of this one task he can't do because it is dull, boring, repetitive, and has no dopamine reward.
Right.
There are no rewards.
Right.
So you've not incentivized him. You don't know how to strategize this. You are not actively strategizing
Right.
to make this work. Like, here's the realities of being in a relationship with someone with ADD or ADHD. Is it's great and it sucks simultaneously. It's great because you have as someone who is highly creative, extremely motivated, will absolutely learn to do anything in an afternoon with a YouTube video and will pick up new skills left, right, and center. That's the, ooh, this is fun part of ADHD and being in a relationship with someone who is ADHD or ADD. The downside is when the dopamine stops, if you're not actively working to keep the dopamine flowing, if you're not providing support, if you're not encouraging and supporting medication, if you're abusing and exploiting this non-medicated state, perhaps, to thinking you're going to get all the good and like you don't have to deal with consequences, this is where you end up. Is eventually the asshole shows up that asks for something totally ridiculous, crazy, and you can have that argument. That argument is not going to be productive. That argument is not going to result in anything useful, beneficial, helpful, meaningful to the situation at hand. So if that's where you are, your husband's being an asshole. You're not wrong. Like, if that's what you needed, if that's what you want is validation, then here you go. Your husband's an asshole. I really have to question, though, if everyone's shitty here. Because, hi, maybe someone didn't inform you. Maybe you didn't bother to go find out what this condition really is. Maybe you didn't avail yourself of resources. Maybe you didn't listen to your mother-in-law who tried to effing tell you. Because usually there's a mother-in-law who's going to effing try to tell you that, like, this idea that you're dealing with someone who is neurotypical and is going to follow clear, straight lines between point A and point B with no deviation, and that all their behavior is going to be perfectly logical all the time.
Yeah. No, sorry. And, you know, you might want to come watch videos? Come over here. Because you're going to see me. Because right now I'm cooking dinner. We're doing a podcast. Laundry's in the washer. The fan is annoying. I don't know what's going on with your audio, but I'm about ready to throw Bluetooth to you.
I'm doing my best over here. It's everything I can do. But yeah.
So there's 400 other things going on in the brain.
And the first one that doesn't entertain or excite or give meaning, life, and purpose, new information, the first tedious thing,
or reward of attention, point blank.
Oh yeah, all the paths are circular. Like, and it's not just a circle. It's like if you take that circle and you bend it, and you twist it and you push it and you do, yeah. It's wibbly wobbly, okay. And you have to be able, like, it's for a successful relationship, for any hope of a successful relationship. You have to learn to listen differently. Because if you think you're getting Mr. Neurotypical, who seems to have a little extra energy and is really spontaneous and creative, no, that's not what that is. Like, and that's almost never what it is. Like, you don't get that. Like, if you want Mr. Neurotypical, he's going to go to work. He's going to work. He's going to come home, and you're going to yell and scream and argue and fight to get the trash taken out. We'll do it because he understands. He just didn't feel like it.
Right.
Like, that's it. That's how that works. If you're being listened to over a football game, I'll tell you right now, hey, he's not neurotypical.
Right.
Like, follow the bouncy balls. Like, there are a lot of positives. And never should it be said there are no benefits. There are many benefits to dating someone who's ADHD, ADD. But with that comes the Mr. Neurotypical that you've been trained for is not who you got, and you got to learn along with them how to manage the condition so that you can both live happy.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll tell you right now, this ends in divorce. This ends in a better ex-wife who was always right, that her husband's an asshole, and then 1 or 2 kids later, or 3, depending upon how long you let this go on, and you just go, well, he's just an asshole, I just put up with it, and then you pop out the 3rd kid, 4th kid, whatever, or you leave, like, the minute this kid's born, whatever choices you make, you're going to be a better ex. You're going to sit here and have a mountain of evidence of every failure this person has made because they're not neurotypical. And then you're going to have, at least statistically, one of these kids, at least one of these kids, is going to need you to figure it the fuck out. Or you're going to do with your children the equivalent of what you're doing with your husband. And at some future point, if they're willing, if they're able, if they find the resources, if someone finally tells them what the problem is in their life, they're going to have to figure out as an adult, with adult ADHD or ADD, all the things that they have needed all along, and then deal with their dating life, their marital life, their interaction with their kids. Like, that's what you signed up for. That's what you have already brought into the world. You are committed. You are signed in blood. Like, you donated eggs for this. Like, you're on the bus. Like, there's no turning around now.
Right.
So yeah. But if you just want validation, here's your validation. If you want reality, like, you have many problems. Yeah.
Oh. All right. So the poll is up. You guys get to vote. Is the husband an asshole, or is everybody an asshole, or nobody's an asshole, or everyone's shitty here? Or you've got yourself a dill pickle where there is no right answer. All right, so let's hop over to Psychic Reddit question.
Yes. Will a spell change a psychic prediction? Has it happened to you as a psychic to see someone's future, then they did a spell, and then, when reading them again, the future had completely changed? I've been told by a psychic that my next long-term relationship is going to be in 2028, that I don't have any hex, my aura is clean, and that the only way to change it is to do a strong spell around 700 to 1,000 euros. I know on the paper it sounds like a scam, but I've been going to this woman for the last 5 years, and she's been wrong only once, honestly, and not even completely. So I tend to believe her, but I was wondering about the principle. Thank you.
Now, if a spell does anything, it fucks it up.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a like. Sorry, my personal interpretation of this, just you can tell me I'm wrong, is that it's kind of a yes, we have no bananas situation. You can do a spell.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay the 700 to 1,000 euros.
Mm-hmm.
You can change, and in 2025, somewhere, you will be in that relationship for a long term. May you get what you want. May you want what you get. Because what you're currently being told is work on yourself, do whatever you need to do to make it to 2028, when the paths should naturally converge,
mm-hmm.
to make this all possible, and you will be in a place, they will be in a place, make it all happen. Now,
Right.
if you want to speed that up, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you're being told what all that's going to entail, because usually, if you're going to rush a relationship, you're going to be dealing with, like, perhaps meeting them while they're still in a relationship. You're going to deal with being the other person. You're going to deal with the negative character assassinations. You're going to deal with some bitter, angry, unhappy stepchildren. You're going to deal with a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
that if you just waited 3 years, 3 little years,
and focused on your career or whatever else the course of correction is, they might be a different person. But here's what I see quite often. You don't like what your course is, instead of taking that course and going, okay, so what do I got to do here? Okay, so I need to work on my career for the next 3 years and build an independent business. But that's not what I want. I want a long-term relationship right now. So, you do a spell to bring a relationship, and it's long-term, all right. It takes forever to get them committed to a mental asylum. Or to jail because they're abusive or whatever. The issue is, and it'll be a continual issue in the relationship. It reminds me of, if you've ever seen unprocessed river water that is just after a storm. It's got mud and sticks and rocks and dirt all swirled in there real nice and messy. And you can try to drink that right then and there, and it's going to taste like total shit.
or you can make the effort to try to clean it up, and that's an additional step.
Or you can just leave it alone. And you leave it alone for about an hour, hour and a half. It settles all down, and you have clean drinking water on top and mud in the bottom.
Yeah, so Brenda sums it up nicely. Do a spell, get a relationship with the wrong person or at the wrong time, and mess up what was in the works, plus mess up what you should have been doing in your own life. Miss that good thing that was happening on your way to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, miss all, and that's fundamentally what it is. And I think that's why this psychic, I'm going to assume, what was already telling you, this is a bad idea. Don't do it.
That's why it's $1,000.
This psychic started at, you don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to force it, I'm going to try one more time by setting my price as high as humanly possible to thwart you away from this idea, because it's not going to go well for you. And meanwhile, you're asking me to do a spell.
Uh-huh. which means putting my energy into it. But anyhow, the other bracer effect of this, and it's like I've joked with, we've joked on the air and joked with friends, you were just $20 too damn cheap.
Okay. Oh yeah, for the fact that I could not justify a $20 cover charge.
Yeah.
That's like an extra decade or two, almost, to me.
Yeah.
Could have met much sooner. I don't drink. I don't like hanging out with drugs. He was working at a bar down the street from me in a totally different city than we are in now. In a totally different state.
Yes.
My friends went to this bar. I could have gone with my friends. I can't justify a $20 cover charge because I can't drink $20 worth of liquor.
$20 cover charge, 2 drink minimum. But at the time,
mm-hmm.
I was not the right person for you.
And probably vice versa.
I don't know. Maybe, again, I was not the right person for you.
Yeah.
Because I woke up to a White Russian. I went to bed to whiskey. I carried 2 packs of cigarettes. One was purple.
Uh-huh.
I danced 5 nights a week and worked the nursing floor and ran a bar all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And if this didn't implode within like 72 hours, 1 year, and it would have been like, never want to see you again. Like, nope, I'm done. Have the t-shirt. I'm nope. No. And so there would not be a psychic coffee shop. Oh well, there would probably be a coffee.
There would be a psychic coffee
Definitely
shop.
not
would
be
not be an AFK.
Well, there wouldn't be an AFK. There wouldn't be a Mountain Bears. There wouldn't have. There wouldn't have been a lot of things.
Yeah.
So this is how we get to where we are.
Right.
Now we can joke about the fact that
I should have shot an arrow through the parking lot and would have at least injured you in the leg and drug you in.
Mm-hmm.
Not the point, because it was even more stranger than that. I was in one apartment complex. Across the little green path, he was at the other complex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was like right there, and you have to wonder, like, what, because we were in our 20s, what impulsive things were we doing that delayed this as well? Like, I mean, it's kind of obvious some of the things that you were doing. I will look at. Like, I'm out. I'm not doing this. But then I also have to wonder, like, some of the like people I was dating then, and situations and things that I don't want to necessarily say that I regret, but things I was forcing, like shoehorning into my life to make work. To just like, nope, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm doing it and I'm doing it.
Well, let me clarify. I don't regret a damn bit of it. I had a great time in my 20s. Made money, and it's paved the way for a lot of things in our life.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's regrettable. Like, that was never my point. I'm also saying, though, there were probably some things that were naturally pushing it apart, regardless.
Yeah.
And that, like, no. If we had both gone to, like, you tweak some things this way and I tweak some things that way, we may have gotten there sooner. But is that necessarily a good thing?
Well, I don't think it would have been a good thing because, that was years of my life. I was a total bitch. Don't play no games. Don't fuck no games. What was your name again? Oh, okay. Well, breakfast, you can go pick up fucking breakfast and leave type behavior.
Like, I could have been a hookup.
Yeah.
A totally forgotten hookup.
Yeah.
Like, as in, like, he probably wouldn't have formed the memory because he drank so much at that point in his life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that sincerely. Like, I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm really not.
Right.
You have, and we have talked about that, and I think we've even talked about it on the show, is that during that period, like, with so much alcohol consumption,
Mm-hmm.
you have whole periods of time that are just a blank slate or a very blurry night. And some, like, I don't really 100% know what happened.
Right.
Yeah. And for me, being on the other side of that, like, you want to get in my do not call list.
Yeah.
Tell me you don't remember what happened the night before.
Right.
And I was part of it. That's a quick, like, no, I don't deal with alcoholics. Thank you. I had enough experience with that. Got the t-shirt. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, not dealing with it. Not a thing. So no, I mean, like, so no, I don't regret missing that phase.
You know, I enjoyed that phase. I missed that phase. I get to enjoy parts of that phase. I was so not there. And what I mean by that was not there, like, point blank. You think that I go into Aeson mode now for a show?
Mm-hmm.
Raven mode was 20% to 100% more difficult.
Yeah, no, that would have been like return to Cinder.
Mm-hmm. Quickly, because Cinder would have already left, and I would have been like, "Bye, dude. I've got a show at 8, and I've got to get shaved and makeup. So either grab me a brush or get out of here."
Yeah. Well, and then there's some of the people that I dated, because we've also joked about the fact that, like, I have the bipolar bat symbol on my head.
Mm-hmm.
Screams for bipolar people, please apply to date me.
Right.
Flashing in, like,
Neon colors.
white lights. Yeah. And I will say that they're, like, the ADHD is so much easier to deal with than bipolar disorder. I'll just tell you right now. That's A1 off the list. But I also think that there were elements of those experiences had I not have had, if I hadn't dated those people that I did that were bipolar and gone through, like, because, okay, and I'm sure there are very well-trained people with degrees that would argue me up one side down than the other. There are elements. Elements. I'm not talking they're identical. I'm saying there's elements between ADD and ADHD and bipolar disorder that overlap, minorly overlap. And so if you want a trial by fire, like, it's going to end disastrously, I'll just tell you now. Crash course on dealing with ADHD at, like, the worst possible moments that you could ever have with ADHD, and at levels that ADHD will never see. But you want to be fully prepared for, like, the litany, the buffet of everything that can happen all at once. Bipolar disorder will do that in a weekend. Just, you can get that skill set right there. You know, but there also is, like, you know, a tolerance level that you have to get used to. And inevitably, there's some delays there, you know, because here's how this always went down for me, -1. But how it usually went down was the person I met, the bipolar person that I met, was in therapy, on meds, well-adjusted, and living their best life. They are a fully functional adult who got in a relationship, everything's going great, and they did what every single bipolar person does at least once in their journey, is go, I don't need meds. And they stopped taking them. I'll guarantee you, any bipolar person you date or marry will have pulled this stunt once,
Maybe twice.
without fail, one time at least. It inevitably happens. Everything's going so good, and they have that moment where they miss the energy, they miss the excitement, the spontaneity, the whatever. And so, but their life is great. They would like it to be better. Because there's a memory that forms and of the experience of bipolar disorder that tells you everything's great, at least part of the time, way better than medicated. And so at least once, every single person with bipolar disorder will play this game, and they will stop taking their meds because they think, since everything else is going so great, they don't need them. They can handle it. Now, always ends in disaster. But for the person on the other side of this, you are already dating this person who's medicated, balanced, well appropriately adjusted. Everything's going great. Everything's wonderful. And then part two of that is, and then they start coping. Drugs and alcohol, some form of like substance abuse will occur, trying to balance out the highs and lows. And it's a horrible game to play. No, like, it's horrible for them. It's horrible for everyone. It's a disaster. But you don't know yet, as the partner of someone who's bipolar, who stopped their meds and didn't tell you, you don't know what's going on yet. And in the beginning, it's little things. It's like baby ADHD. And then it gets a little more like ADHD, but with zero coping ability. Lots of substance abuse. But it's still within the bounds of normal. Like far extremes, but bounds of normal. And the next thing you know, you're off a cliff without parachute, with no hang glider, just free floating here, trying to figure out what the is going on. And this is when you start encountering things that are just, I swear to God, I'm not making this shit up. It becomes a preface for everything you say. Because it is so out there. It has exceeded the bounds of normal. And it is multi-fronted, and it feels like you're being assaulted mentally. Like you don't even know how to respond. Like, am I crazy? Like, did reality change? Am I no longer part of reality? Do I have a problem? Becomes your first thought as the partner of someone who's bipolar when they go off their meds and have totally surpassed the ability to cope anymore. Like, this is just unfettered, completely untamed bipolar disorder running amok.
On multiple levels of muckery.
Oh, yeah. No. The fuckery is not one-dimensional. Like, no, it's layered. It's an onion of fuckery. Of things of decisions they're making or not making, actions and inactions, and choices and spontaneous impulse choices, and it's not just like, oh, they went off their meds and they made some bad decisions linearly. It is, they went off their meds, made some bad decisions linearly, and then it exploded. It blossomed. It is now like parallel bad decision. Like, it is career bad decisions. It is financial bad decisions. It is substance abuse related bad decisions. It is sex and commitment and monogamy based bad decisions. It is layers of out there.
But, the whole point in general in both of the questions, one is learn your partner's words.
Oh, yeah.
The other one is build yourself to be the partner you should be and let the relationships act naturally. Because if you rush them, it's like eating cake. You can let it cool down and enjoy the combinations of a deep German cake, or you can grab it hot and have a big old mud pie that's going to burn your throat.
Absolutely. Like it's and I think this really is like, as much as like our psychic does want to come in here, because a lot of commenters are just bashing the scammer of a psychic who's charging you or wanting to charge you 700 euros to 1,000 for a spell. No, you're not understanding. They're doing everything to dissuade this client.
Right.
Like, this is just the part that's got them stopped.
Right.
And going, and what you need to hear is, no, don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it. Like, I'm trying to stand, because this is, I will guarantee you what the psychic is doing, is staying as close to the realm of reasonable and not a scammer as they can for a spell that is going to wreak a lot of havoc with their life when they cast it, and is going to be a really bad life choice.
And this is,
if you go through with it.
And I'm going to throw this in here. This is why I don't do love spells. Stop doing employment spells. I have enough jobs. If I get one more, I want to kill something.
Yeah, we've all threatened him at this point with that if you do any more employment spells. Like, if you personally choose to do one for yourself, that's a slappable offense. If you do this for someone else, because y'all remember the consequences get bigger, if you do this for another person, that's a murderable offense.
Right. Because let's clarify something. I read on 14 networks. I sit on 2 lead teams on those networks. I now own a Sims and run it. Anything I touch turns into work.
But more importantly, explain the before. Because you did, what, 3 of these in a row before we all looked at you and said no more.
Yeah.
So that, they were like, I don't mean in the same month. I mean, like, you had done one, and then like 6 months or 9 months later, you did another one, and then probably like 4 or 5 months after that, you did a third one. What was the before?
I'm not understanding.
You were on like 10 networks, 1 beta team, like,
a policy board.
You were enjoying playing Second Life. Just, hanging out at parties, up in your system activity level, like reaping benefit, like a lot calmer.
Yes.
You in that roughly like year and a half period, you did 3 of them, and there's no other nice way to say it. It shit fucked your world. Or the world of everyone around him, because this isn't happening in a silo. This stuff doesn't occur in a silo. Because someone else got a job and the ability to pay the rent. Someone dropped a house on him. And our life and our world and everything had to dramatically change to accommodate each one of those. So yes, he's suffering. He's got a house on him. He has to figure out how to get out from under. That doesn't mean I'm sitting over here or lollipop gilding it with a lollipop going, that's funny. No. Me and multiple other people are having to run in and try to pull him out of the debris.
Well, there's other pieces to this too.
Okay.
Honey, can you take on another client right now?
Yeah. No, I already have one client that has every right to shoot me.
Again,
that's where I'm personally at right now. And even once their stuff gets done. Yeah, no, but I'm explaining like the level that this occurs at. Like
Well-
it's a big, like, it is literally like throwing a house into a lake. It doesn't just 10-point dive in. Oh, there's a wave and a wake and ripples and
All right, so I'm gonna brag some in it for a little bit.
okay.
Pay attention.
Okay.
So I took on, I don't know, 4 different. I'm at 14. I maxed out at 15, which 15's launching soon.
Mm-hmm.
Invisible went from what, a 9-hour-a-week job if he was lucky to a 40-hour-a-week job, and he can
If he's lucky.
If he's lucky.
In the other direction, if it's only 40 hours that week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are maxed out on clients. One of my really good friends got made a boss. Another one of my really, really good friends left her job, thought she was done, and when her husband said, "Oh no, we're going to go and do that," everywhere around
Mm-hmm.
to the ones.
Well, basically, all your resources also had at least mini explosions rip through their life. Like anyone who could be a resource of support to help you during this time also got a knock-on effect. And it's like, so either they were stuck taking on, like, trying to help you while also trying to do their stuff while also getting like slammed,
right?
Or looking at it going, oh, I can't help you. I can't help you right now. Like maybe later. But I'm
yeah. Anyway, and I'll put it out this way. Someone has kept his mouth shut. He doesn't want to hear me go take a bath.
Oh no, I do make jokes about that. Mostly because that was funny when it happened to you. It's tame enough when that occurs. It's tame enough that I can still laugh at it. Like what I have to do to support, he goes and takes a bath. I can sit back later and laugh and go, "You're not doing that again, are you? Like, did you learn your lesson this time?"
Depends on who needs a job.
Gonna add cinnamon?
You want me to go take a bath and add some cinnamon, dear?
Oh no, please no. Well, because now that's like your. I thought we were talking about, and I think we still are, the money bath, the money candle, and the money lamp. All three at the same time. This is what he did. He didn't mean to. He did. It was one of those, like, we really need the income right now. And so, like, his brain said, throw everything at it. Like, this is all hands on deck, emergency situation. We need money yesterday. So I'm going to go light my money candle. I'm going to go set up my money lamp. I'm going to go take a money bath. And he proceeded to walk himself, like a little smurf, straight into the trap he sprung on his own self.
Right. That's not what I'm talking about, that.
Okay. Yeah, there is a different one for jobs and employment.
They're all the same sisters.
Oh, yeah, they're near neighbors.
Yeah. Because money, job, employment, all that is within its same energy focus. The part we don't normally talk about, but I'm going to tonight, this one caused me, I'm getting ready, I need a new job. I had my invisible. Yeah.
Noise from the neck.
They don't respect me. Blah, blah, blah. I'm never getting hours. Blah, blah, blah. We've got this one here. I just do tech support. My company's not listed yet. In the back of my head.
I was calm. I was not. I was calm about it. I was like, it'll pick up when it picks up. It'll be okay. I'm hoping to, do a few things. And then, lob a hand grenade, and it was like, everyone needs a website. Everyone needs it yesterday. Everyone needs this. Everyone needs that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he makes fun of me for being on call for 8 hours straight.
No break. Can't take a break. Can't get up from the desk. Can't do anything.
Right.
Can't even get coffee.
Right.
It's funny. It really is. It's funny.
At the same time, he's getting invoices and contracts coming through that hadn't came through. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. And it's like, this is why Aeson doesn't pull his cauldron out until he pulls his cauldron out.
Well, and it's, again, it all goes back to the words. May you get what you want. May you want what you get.
Exactly.
Because, like, some of the I will say this is probably the biggest problems, like love spells that you don't do, because you've already well learned that you're fucking out of that one, and have been the whole time we've been together. Like, I don't screw with love spells. Not doing love spells. Love spells and I do not get along. We are not doing this.
Right.
I had already had that before I got here.
Yep.
Okay. But now, like, you were doing like the money and employment spells, and it really is like the love spells. That one's bad enough, but it's typically targeted enough that it like, yeah, it brings some things back with it, but it's kind of within a narrow band, mostly.
It's
compared to
over quantity, honey. Quality over quantity,
right?
With that, so this is why.
Compared to asking for money or employment, like you get everything. Like you just everything comes with that one. There is no limit. It is unlimited. It is completely like the love spells. Like it's the channels this big for the blowback, for the money and it is a doorway, and everything comes through. And if the doorway's not big enough, it's basically a tank, and it'll just go on in.
Yeah.
Like, great big giant Sherman tank in your living room, waving its little fucking,
dollar sign. But
yeah,
at the same time, this is why anytime you play with manifestation, magnification, spell work, whatever title you want to give it, you got to understand you're not only affecting your cosmos. Like, let's ask the psychic question. Speeding up a love relationship. Well, that's interesting. You're also going to probably speed up someone's divorce. You're also going to probably speed up someone else's, passionate project. And these are things that may not be ready to be sped up. It's like you cannot microwave some things.
Well, yeah, and it's and there's even more nuance to that. Is because of this new relationship, that's an additive. Typically, there's a subtractive. So you got all in on this relationship. You want out of the relationship you're in. You want into this new relationship. You want done with the divorce. You signed off all the paperwork that just whatever. Like, she can have whatever. I don't care. You just didn't fight it. Just get me out. And then you're immediately starting a new relationship. Perhaps, did you give up a promotion? Did you fail to move? Did you abandon that house you had a mortgage on and just go, oh, well, we'll figure it out later?
Right.
Did you miss an educational opportunity? How much of your future that would have been better in, say, 2028 did you throw away to have a relationship now that you either will never take that path because life will happen and you'll get twist, turn, pulled, whatever other directions, and now you're on a totally different line. Like, you've gone off. Like, it's not a minor detour. It's not a minor change of directions. It's not a little shortcut. It's a massive, like, scrap everything. We're going this way, not this way, this way. And many things can be lost with it.
Well, it does, but there's also cross connections, and that's what I'm talking about. Like Invisible getting a full-time job with overtime, you getting so many clients you can't handle them, me being so busy, only the gods can control that. And it's not because there ain't detail. Oh, that spell is, all of them are detailed. It's the water swimming effect. If you're paddling along and I'm paddling along and we paddle along together, it's a great, easy swim. But if I start paddling faster, your current's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Invisible's current is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, friends
I'm going to get kicked in the face.
Going to change.
I'm eventually going to get kicked in the face.
Probably.
Like that's how it works.
Yep.
Like it is like two kids racing in a swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are not like I hazard to ever say that any of us are professional athletes in this analogy. Like maybe one professional athlete. I'm still going to be the kid over here that's like, like I'm not swimming in a straight line.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna, and this is fine as long as we're doing this together. But one of us goes pro and like whoosh 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 whoosh, while I'm like la 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 la. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna get kicked in the face.
Right.
This is how that's gonna happen.
Right. Because
like,
magic takes the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, in a total mixed metaphor, smelling the roses of swimming. Like I'm just having fun. I'm just like meandering through. Like cool. There's stuff on the bottom of the pool, and like I'm not.
Right.
Like I'm not racing. I'm just kind of swimming around.
Right. So with that, I think we got to wrap this up. This has been an amazing fucking show. I love having Megan on, and even with your poor audio, it's been a good show.
Absolutely.
So take it away.
All right. Take it away. First, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Jono, and Shannon C, Shannon B, Lady Quinlan, Caitlin Bell, Devin, Bella, and Maria Meyer. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes, and we will see you Friday for Mountain Bears.
Absolutely. Yeah, sorry about the crunchy audio, guys. It was a last-minute fail.
Yep, we'll fix it next time.
We'll get it.